Welcome to Ponchatoula Live, the show where we make it easy for you to connect with the people of Ponchatoula. I'm your host, Parker Layrisson, and today I've got a fantastic guest. This is someone I like and admire and know so well. We go back literally our entire lives. We've been roommates, we've been playmates, we've been friends forever. He's my realtor, and he is our new mayor. I am speaking, of course, about Wesley Daniels. Wesley, welcome to the show.
Good evening. Thank you for having me, Parker. I tune in as much as I can, so I'm excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited to have you on. Of course, we're only a little over 50 days away from you shedding the mayor-elect title and being Mr. Mayor himself, and we're all excited about that. We're, of course, not here to talk politics. We're here to talk about you and your life story. So why don't we begin with you just telling us a little bit about yourself?
Parker, you touched on it. I'm a local. I'm a native son. Someone, I think one of the papers kind of described me in that fashion. Born and raised in Ponchatoula. My family has been around here since I would guess the early 1900s. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a very proud son of my mother, who has carried on the tradition of our family business from my grandmother. I'm just a regular Ponchatoula guy that has enjoyed being a part of this community.
Well, we're glad to have you. I'm so glad you mentioned your mother, your grandmother. They are legendary women here in the Ponchatoula area. I'm going to ask you more about them later. And one neat little peculiar twist of history that not everybody knows about is that your family and mine, this would be the Branch family, your mom's maiden name, and the Parker family, where I get my name, my grandmother's maiden name. They actually all immigrated down here together from Michigan, like you say, more than 100 years ago with the Hollister family to work with them. And so our families go way, way back. And yours has always been one of the hardest working, most prominent families in town. Despite your great success, you're not flashy. You're not going to see a Maserati parked in front of any of your homes on 7th Street, or your office at Branch Real Estate there on Pine Street. And I've always admired that about your mom and about you, because, if you wanted to flaunt it, you could. But y'all not only succeed a lot in the private sector as business owners, but you do a lot for the town giving back. Your mom, from the downtown board to much more, to you coaching basketball, things we'll get into. There's a lot to admire there. So tell me what it's like growing up in that family on 7th Street, on property that's been in the family forever, right next to the Catholic Church. I mean, I remember a lot of it because I'm sleeping on your couch half the time, Bree and I. But for our viewers and our listeners that maybe didn't get to share that experience like I did, what was it like in your house growing up?
Well, I was going to say, you know a lot about it because you were there most of the time. Parker, and I said it. I guess I've reflected on it a lot more recently. I feel extremely fortunate. I didn't, when you're going through it, you don't realize it, I guess. But look, both of my parents, my late father came from a very humble beginning. Worked very hard. Worked himself up into his career, and so that's something that my parents believed in. We work, and we never did without. I didn't know any better. I was very fortunate that they were very present in my lives. Very present in my life. There was always someone there that showed up for me, no matter what we were doing. But I was also very fortunate to grow up there on 7th Street. We every afternoon, if our parents didn't know where they were, all they had to do was ride around and look for a stack of bikes somewhere, and that's where everybody was.
Right.
I had a great group of friends, and our families kind of raised each other.
Yeah. There really was. There was a communal existence there where if we weren't at your house or mine, we'd be at Artie Thompson's house or the Poche house or the Uter house. There were all these great families there. And I'm glad you mentioned the bikes. I'm going to do a plug later for our Bikes for Kids program, which has begun. And we're now in the process of selecting kids to start winning bikes this month. But you're right. It was fun. I was there, and your dad, You mentioned him from humble beginnings, worked up to a very high level in the state through probation and parole. He was very successful in his career. He had his own side hustles, if you will, before they used that term. His baseball card shop. Marshall Graves and I always talk about that. He's a collector like I am and you are, and it's so much fun there. And your mom, what I remember, Will, is she would take great care of us, cook dinner, feed for us, give us everything we need. But she worked a lot of Saturdays. And frankly, even before, after, she's a very devout Catholic, go to church, but she'd work, she was hustling kind of all the time. And, it seems like everything y'all got, you earned with hard work and grit and determination. One thing I remember about your household and your father in particular was that y'all were disciplined about sports. And I know you would go on to not only, and right now I'm just in a basketball frame of mind, maybe because I just finished coaching basketball with Marshall, who I mentioned, but more likely because I'm so excited about St. Joseph winning a championship. Our old teammate, Ben Perrin, now is the coach, and those boys won the NFL championship. And, once upon a time, you were the starting point guard on the championship team there. I was a bench warmer. But you and Ben kind of led us to the title. You were our point guard. So tell us about sports and also, particularly about where it started in the home. Because while you were a talented player, we look at you now and I look up to you, you're a tall guy. People don't realize you were just as thin back then, but you were as short as I was. But you worked your way into the starting lineup to a championship and eventually off to St. Thomas and coaching. Tell us about your sports career and your dad's influence in that.
Parker, it was something that he felt strongly about encouraging us to do that. And I don't think it was, looking back, it was necessarily about the athletic side of it. I think it was the structure, working for something and learning and enjoying the process. He believed that if you did something, you did it 100%. So if you, in my case, especially with basketball, not only did you practice with the team, but you took it upon yourself to do extra to better yourself for the betterment of the team. And that's something that he drilled into me. What drills can we do? Back then it was before YouTube and Google, so it was tough. We would go to camps. He would call coaches, high school coaches from different areas. What can my son do? He's kind of on the shorter side. It was about 1.5 feet ago, so I was probably still in the 4 foot range. And he would do it with me. And my dad was not as gifted athletically as I think I was, but he gave me the tools and he sat there with me while I did these drills, and it was a way for us to spend time together, and I think that was the biggest thing.
That's what it was all about at the end of the day. Yeah.
And trusting the process, right? It's not, it's not that immediate gratification. It's if I pound this into myself and I do it every day, and that goes with life too, business, whatever, you have to
Absolutely.
trust.
Well, yeah, I remember one you mentioned, he gave you the tools. I remember one interesting tool that he gave you in your basketball career, or your mom gave you, were these platform shoes. You remember those?
Yes.
that were designed to strengthen, I guess, your calves and make you
Yes.
jump higher. And it just looked like something from Star Trek or something. I remember when you brought those home, I was like, whoa, Wesley's getting serious, man.
That was one of those infomercial deals, and I saw it and I had to have it. And I was like, Dad.
Yeah.
But that was one of the things. It was, I had a desire to be better. And he felt like it was his job to, hey, if he wants to do this, I'm going to give him the tools that he needs. I don't know if they worked. Thankfully, I grew at some point. So I was able to get a little higher,
Right. I think you were hoping you'd turn yourself into Spud Webb at that point. Eventually you grew and you didn't need to be Spud Webb. Well, let's talk before we move off the topic of St. Joseph. It's not lost on me that it's graduation season. You're about to head to the high school where your boy's graduating there.
Yes.
Your daughter will soon be moving on from St. Joseph. I'm there with the little kids. Today was water day for the kindergartners when I'm picking up in carpool. But I see you picking up your beautiful daughter there. And what's it like when you reflect on not only the education that your children have gotten there, but what was it like for you? What are your takeaways from St. Joseph before we move on to the next chapter in your life?
First of all, I can't believe that my baby, my youngest, is graduating.
That's tough to believe. Yeah.
It is. And look, it's all hit me at one time. Byron's graduating. That's my son at the high school. And it's aging me in front of my eyes, and we're counting down the days. How many days do I have left to bring her to school? You start holding on to those small things, but Parker, I mean, we were there together. The environment that St. Joseph provided for us and continues to provide for our children. We could have sent our children anywhere, I guess, and we chose to go back there. My mother went there. My Aunt John taught there. For us, the faith base is huge. Sure. It's a big part. I like to say I'm a quiet Catholic. I don't really push that on anyone.
Yeah.
But
it's
a
important
big part of our life.
It's always a big part of our life. Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, and what's neat too is how you can maintain these relationships that last a lifetime. When I look at your boy Byron and he's graduating tonight, and it's such a great kid. His best bud is my neighbor Trent Perrin. My younger boys, Godfather's his father, and I look back and it's like these guys that we came up with St. Joseph. And look, I'm not here to say we see each other all the time. We don't. But we have a really close relationship, whether you're talking about the guys that played on the basketball team together, or each of us in our own class, or even the kids within striking distance of your class. It's a bond that's there because there's just a lot of good people with similar interests, And you maybe don't realize that when you're a kid, but when you get older and you're desperately praying your kid gets the education they need and the skills they need and the friends they need to walk through life in a meaningful way, you realize it's a great place to do it. I want to turn here for a moment, if you don't mind, Wesley, to comments. Lester, Leroy Satoon. Lester, thank you for watching again. It's always good to see one of our fine Strawberry Kings in attendance. Thank you for tuning in. And Kevin Rayford here. We were talking basketball. He says you were a great SJS basketball player. And our assessor, you guys are the elects, right? He's assessor-elect. He's got a longer lag time than you do, so he'll have to wait even longer to take office. But of course, he's the chief deputy there now. But Kevin says that he's so proud of Wesley and his family. He's looking forward to see the awesome things that you'll do for our city. You are a great guy and a wonderful friend. So well said, Kevin. I would agree with that sentiment. Wesley, thanks for your patience with me. I'm reading these comments to you. I know you can read for yourself, but the podcast also goes online as an audio podcast. And so for our listeners, I want them to be able to know what people say. So to anyone else who may be watching, know that if you'd like to talk to Wesley or leave a comment or ask him a question, we have the ability to do that here. We're here with our mayor-elect, Wesley Daniels, and we've been talking to SJS and all things childhood. Let's move forward. You obviously went from St. Joseph to St. Thomas. Back in a time when that was a heck of a lot less common than it is today. What was it like in those early days of St. Thomas? And I know you played ball, you did much more. What was your experience like there?
Man, for me, I really enjoyed my time at St. Thomas. The hardest part for me, Parker, it was that getting outside of my comfort level, leaving the friends that I'd been around my whole life. I mean, you know how close we all were. Right. And it was going from not seeing you, or Bree, or Artie every day, and walking into an environment where you knew who some of the people were, but they weren't your people. And it was outside of our city, right? It was in Hammond. But the friends I made there have become lifelong friends. I'm sure at some point we'll get into some of my mentors, but one of my very best friends to this day, he was not a student, but a coach, and has had a huge impact on my life. That's why I ran into him. So
and that would be Coach Errol Goff, right?
That would be Coach Errol Goff, yes.
Well, let's take a minute and talk about that relationship, because not only did you shine on the court as one of his players and y'all developed a strong bond, but he would ultimately invite you to join his coaching staff, and you coached there for a while. So would you mind sharing that story with us?
Absolutely. So Errol and I, we like to say we grew up together. So going into my senior year, our basketball coach at St. Thomas leaves. We're all pretty nervous about who's going to be the new hire. And in comes this young guy. Man, he looked like one of us. I want to say Errol was maybe 25 or 26 when he got the job, and here I am, 17-year-old guy who thinks I'm something, and all of a sudden now my coach is not only better than me, but can beat me one-on-one consistently and talk trash the whole time he's doing it.
Yeah.
But he's the ultimate competitor. So we hit it off immediately. And he's one of those guys that he knows just how far to push you. And he used to tell me all the time, look, I'm going to tear you down in practice, but when you leave, you're going to be higher than when you walked in.
Right.
And he believed in that. And that's the way he coached. He coached hard, he coached fair, but he loved on you,
Yeah.
And you always knew where you stood with him. He had very high expectations in the classroom, on the court, in the general public, the way you presented yourself. And that, like I said, that friendship's going on. After I graduated, I was in college. We had
Southeastern, right?
Tragedy. Yes, at Southeastern. I had some things in life that we were kind of dealing with from a family standpoint. My father passed away. And I think more than anything, Errol just reached out to me because he was concerned. Of course, we stayed in contact, and I think he just wanted his eyes on me. He just wanted to. So he said, "Hey, I need you to come coach with me." And of course, I jumped at the chance. It was a chance to get back in the gym and and spend time with him. And his expectations of me did not change. I was expected to, again, excel in the classroom, and the expectations that he had for me on the court as a coach were the same as a player, and it's something that it resonated then, and it stuck with me up until this point, 28 years later. I can still hear him in the back of my mind.
Yeah. What a special relationship.
But, and we talk.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I interrupted you. My apologies. I was just commenting what a special relationship and one that endures. And I think you were about to tell us that y'all continue to talk these days, right? Yeah,
you kind of broke up a little bit, so I only heard the back half.
Oh, my apologies, Wesley. We've got a connection issue here. Here at the Parker Layrisson Law Firm, we have that low-priced Wi-Fi. So if we were over at Branch Real Estate, we'd be rolling with fiber optic cable or whatever. But no, my apologies. It was a relationship that is so strong and profound, but it endures. Like you said, almost 30 years later, he's there for you and you for him, and y'all can call on one another, and you do call each other and stay in contact. Is that right?
Absolutely. We probably don't talk as much as either one of us would like, but he's been there for me in all the high moments, all the low moments, and he's brutally honest, and sometimes that's what we need. Right. But I don't know, and I've tried to tell him. But I don't know if he knows how much he's meant to me and what he's done for me without even realizing it.
Yeah.
And so I think that I hope one day he understands that.
Friends like that are tough to come by, but they're the best. I want to share another comment here. Miss Rosemary Gardner has popped on to say, congrats, Wesley. She knows your mom is so proud. Miss Rosemary, thank you for tuning in, and thank you for sharing that comment with Wesley. I know it means a lot to him. Let's talk about your mom, because she is proud of you, rightly so. Your mom is someone who has been not only a great mother to you for 40 plus years, but your business mentor, eventually your partner. Tell us about what Charlene Daniels means to you and your relationship.
What doesn't she mean to me? I've been so fortunate to be able to work with her, work alongside her. And our business wasn't always where it is now, Parker. And, she carried the brunt of those hard times. And, and she just put her head down and she grinded through it. And to get to a point where I guess she's comfortable now, and to be able to see that and be a part of that with her, it's extremely fulfilling, I guess. You know, and I know you know a lot of what we do. At some point, it's not about you anymore. You know,
Right.
it's and for me, very early on, it was I have to do this. I have to get my mom in a place. You know, I have to
Yeah.
get her to a place, and it was a driving force because she had meant so much to me and done so much for me, and not just me, our entire family,
Yeah.
and
Our
other
entire
people
community.
around her. You
No.
know, exactly,
You know,
exactly.
and let me throw a shout out to her and to you. Funny little story. You know, some people know, our close friends all know, that once upon a time, my brother Bree decided to get married on like 1 day notice. And we were roommates at the time. And Bree comes to me and he says, Parker, are you doing anything tomorrow night? And I'm like, well, no. And he's like, well, good. I'm getting married. Can you show up here and there at this time? And I'm like, yeah. Do anything tonight? No. Well, let's do a bachelor party. Okay. And you know, his wife had 2 little children of her own. I said, well, is she going to move in here? Are you going to move in with her? And Bree says, well, she's moving in here, but don't worry, I'm going on a honeymoon, so you've got a week to get out. And you and your mom took me in. Here I am scrambling. I don't have a place to live. And while y'all let me come and live with you for a little while. You know, while we were all in our early 20s. And so that's just the kind of woman your mom is. You know, all of you, all of the Branch Daniels family, will give you this shirt off your back, literally to let you, sleep on your couch. I think you even offered me your room. I didn't take you up on that, but that's how y'all roll. And she's clearly been an incredible mom to you and your family, but it's the neighborhood, not just us kids like Bree and Artie and Brenda McMahon and me that all lived a block away and can stay anytime. But y'all are open to everyone, and that's why, for example, when a good lifelong friend of mine, a multi-generational friend of mine like Sharon Carter, comes to me and says, Parker, I'd like to get into real estate, but I don't really know any realtors and I don't know where to go or how to do that. It's easy to say, go see Miss Charlene, go see Wesley. Let me walk you over there and make an introduction. And all these years together later, y'all still have a great relationship. So folks that are listening, I bought my first house from Charlene Daniels. I bought my second, everything I've ever bought. The house I'm in right now was with Branch Real Estate, Wesley, Charlene, Sharon, the few little lot we have up the block, my office. And y'all have done a great job, but it's not just about the professional high services you provide, but the personal character behind that, that's important to me. And so it's so cool that you got to watch her in action and learn that, kind of, mimic what she's done, take it to the next level. And then the upshot is, as you mentioned, help put her in a place of security and serenity. And that's really cool, man. What a wonderful tale. While we're talking about the wonderful women in your life, let's talk about Brandy Daniels. I know she probably doesn't love being talked about, but my old classmate, the belle of PHS, Brandy, I won't give away the year we were there because you're not as old as I am anymore. But tell me about your wife and when she came into your life and the profound effect that Brandy has had on you.
Man, yeah. Look, what can you not say about my wife? She amazes me with the way that she holds all of our crazy life together. Especially right now. She's running around with Byron at graduation. She's an assistant principal at Ponchatoula High School, so she's going to be a part of the program. Keeping up with my crazy schedule. We're fortunate that our kids are involved in a lot of things, so we're constantly traveling and following around them. Parker, she'll have my travel itinerary ready. I'll show up to the airport. I don't even know where I'm going, what city I'm going to, but my bag will be packed, and she'll text me, "Are you at the airport?" I'm like, "Yes, yeah, baby, I'm here." Okay, look on your phone, go on your app. It'll tell you everywhere you need to be. Right. Just follow that. Call me when you get off the plane. And she's amazing. I tell everybody she's the best part of me. She has allowed me, especially early in our marriage, to work the hours that I needed to work to get us in a place where we felt like we were secure financially. It was a lot of times, weekends. You talked about mom working 6 days a week. There was quite a long period of time where I was working 7 days a week. And Brandy put up with it, and she occasionally look at me and tell me, "I miss you." I'm almost there. I'm almost there. And,
Right.
very patient, extremely humble, especially for as beautiful as she is in my eyes.
Well, yeah, because if she were an athlete, people would say she's a 5-tool talent, right? I mean, clearly knockout, gorgeous, but as smart as she is, pretty, as good a heart and Christian faith as you could ask for, just a dynamite woman. So she's incredible.
She definitely could have done better. I'll say that.
God had a
I'm lucky that she fell to me, but she could have definitely done better.
Hey, I can relate. My Brandy has the same story, right? And so that's one of God's blessings that he sometimes gives the very best women the worst judgment when it comes to men to not know they can do better. So thank God for that.
And it works for guys like us, right?
Exactly. We are the beneficiaries. Speaking of beautiful, wonderful women, Miss Faye Ivaniski is here. Hey, Miss Faye, it's so good to hear from you. She is one of my favorite people around, and she says she's really looking forward, Wesley, to see what you will be doing to bring new ideas for our great community. And Miss Faye has been a true community leader, working with Judge Gassaway and Clerk of Court Ricotta and all the people at City Court that she worked with for years. She's a real leader in our community and somebody to know. Miss Faye, I also want to thank you, your generosity. She's one of the people that helps me with my Bikes for Kids program, both in sharing the word, and also she's been a generous supporter who financially donates. I'll take a quick minute to plug this. This is a genuine 501c3 charity. It's grown from a little program where I just bought all the bikes myself into one where now people like Miss Faye and businesses, throughout our community can donate. It costs us about $250 base price to buy a bike. This summer, we're going to give away 50 bikes. If I have to pay for all of them, I will. But if you have the ability to donate and help us give away more bikes, please do. If you can't, I'm not here to ask for your money. But if you know a good kid that deserves a bike, and this is not a program where we're just simply giving away bikes to needy kids that are poor. We do that too. We do that in the winter, and we do that confidentially without pomp and circumstance. But this is a program that's designed to highlight kids that are doing great things in our community, in their school, in their church, for their parents or grandparents, whatever. But you can go to bikesforkidsla.com. That is the website here that I'm showing. And there you can see, if you scroll down, it'll tell you about the program, and you'll see this button here, nominate a child. If you click on that, you can nominate a kid. So if you have a kid that you're teaching, coaching, raising, if it's your grandkid, whatever, please consider supporting Bikes for Kids. So there's my shameless plug. Wesley, thanks for allowing me to interrupt the interview to do that. Bikes for Kids has begun accepting nominations, and will be giving away bikes this month and throughout the summer. Another good buddy of both yours and mine on here, Kyle Johnson, is tuning in, and he says, "Wes, you're going to do great things in the mayor's office." Obviously, that is true. We are looking forward to that. Kyle, KJ, thank you for tuning in. We are here, folks, with Mayor-elect Wesley Daniels. He has a graduation to get to soon. I promised we'd get him out of here by a certain time, so we don't have that much time left. But we've been talking about, Wesley, the great women in your life, your mother, your wife. Tell us a little bit, and I don't want you to embarrass your kids with a TMI, as they would call it. But I got to say, you had children before I did. We all grew up together, but you were a good decade ahead of me as a parent. And I've really always admired what a great job you do with Byron and Isabel. You mentioned working hard and working around the clock, but one thing I'm certain never happened was it coming at the cost of time with your children or support of your children. When you talk about being in airports and your wife's sending you out the itinerary, that's not so that you can go to Fiji and have a big weekend on your own. That, I guess, is when you're campaigning for mayor, but they have to drive ahead of you to get to a cheerleader meet, and you're going to meet them and make sure you don't miss your daughter competing. So tell us about tell us about parenthood and its impact on you and particularly your kids.
Oh man, it's it's my. I say all the time, my only regret is I wish I'd have done it sooner. I beg Brandy for more children. Um, I always say my time with my kids is non-negotiable. Like I said, and as the same with your parents, Parker. Our parents showed up for us. They were always there, and I think it really uh, means the world to them and to us. I enjoy whatever amount of time I can get, whatever amount of time I can steal away from them. You know, whether it's driving them to school in the mornings, whether it's jumping on a plane to fly to Atlanta to meet my daughter for a cheer competition because I couldn't leave when they leave because of a prior obligation and turn around and flying out 12 hours later. I did it. I made it work multiple times. Spending days and days on end with Byron in Atlanta playing baseball or Texas or wherever they took me, I went. You know, I think Brandy knew early on or figured out early on that she said, "Baby, you don't have to." That just wasn't ever an option for me. If they're throwing rocks in a mud puddle, I'm going to be there cheering them on. I'm going to be honest with them, but I'm going to be there for them. And, you know, I'll never forget Byron was young and I was pushing to be somewhere and I'm talking to him on the phone and I said, "Bubba," I said, "I promise you I'm going to make it." I said, "Just turn around and look over there on the other side of the fence and I'll be there." And that's something we still talk about today. And when,
Yeah.
hey, hey, bud, turn around and look over there on the other side of the fence, I'll be standing there. And they know it. I hope it means something to them. I know it means something to me, you know.
Oh, I know it does. You know, and the reason you know that is because it meant that to us growing up. You know, we were blessed with moms and dads who showed up for us, and whether it was throwing a ball in the backyard when they were busy, you know, needing to get somewhere. You know, now, here's the thing: they may not appreciate it in real time, right? But it will mean something to them if they don't. But you know, we're blessed to have those opportunities. You know, I see you all the time in those carpool lines. We pick our kids up at the same time. Um, you know, people sometimes look at me like I'm crazy when I'm leaving a deposition or an appointment at the office and say, "I'm sorry, I got to go to carpool." And they're like, "Well, couldn't you get your secretary to pick them up?" And, well, sure, but you know, you only get 18 summers if you're lucky to get that much. You know, you got to make the most of those years with those kids because it goes by like that.
You know, and Parker, one thing I've tried to do, especially, I guess, in the last 4 or 5 years, watching Byron get older, because with, you know, that's the oldest, and I just try to be so present in the moment, you know, and if we were at baseball, don't even think about how hot it is or how tired you are that I've got a 6-hour drive to get him back home on a Sunday night before school on Monday. Just present in the moment, spending time with him, because it at some point it's over, you know, and that chapter of life is over. And so just being present and like I said, I've enjoyed it. I enjoy every minute with them, even if they're unhappy with me. If they're around me, I'm happy. So,
Right. Well, it's not over, but I'm here as a friend to congratulate you on a job well done, because you are setting a standard that you may not even know friends like me are watching and saying, "That's what I want to model." You know, you can look. I often will tell kids, you know, you can't have it all. I think that's a myth. You know, I tell them you can probably have anything you want in life. You want to be president, you got the talent to be president, but you can't give it all because everything's got an opportunity cost. You know, life is a choice game of priorities. And I admire the way you set yours, and mine are very similar. You know, we were talking off air. Why am I not in the same building with you, in the same room as you, like I used to for the first 100+ episodes of the show? My boys asked me to start filming this thing from home, you know, because they didn't like the 5-10 minutes they had to wait after the show ended to see me. So here I am, and I appreciate you, you know, being okay with that. But I love your you know, priorities there. And look, I'm not alone. Miss Rosemary's got some good reminder for us. Thank you, Miss Rosemary, to please wish our mothers a beautiful Mother's Day. And so that's coming up, gentlemen, this weekend. Yes. Your wife, your mom, the mother of your children, grandmas, everybody, take care of them. I'll tell you what, I can only do this because I know there's zero chance my wife will ever watch this show. But our boys, if you're into Bluey, as little kids can be, my boy's got this little personalized bluey with brandy on it. It's got her name and everything. So make sure to get a little gift for mom because that's important. Um, Melissa Stanga, so good to see from you. She says, Wesley, you are the best dad. And she would know. She's around all the time. She sees you in action. A wonderful woman there. And she knows great dads. She's married to one herself and Matt. My bud Daryl Ferreira says, Wesley's a good man and will be a remarkable leader for the citizens of Ponchatoula and bringing our city to the next level. He says, congratulations. Of course, you and Daryl served for many years together on the Port Commission. Is that right?
Yes, we did. Daryl's a great friend, and somebody that I can bounce things off of. We went through some situations on the port that we needed to be able to communicate pretty openly on. And Daryl's a trusted friend, just he's a great guy to have in your corner for sure.
A great leader. We jokingly and belovedly call him POE, which stands for President of Everything, because he's been the president of the port and the chamber and many other clubs. Just a heck of a leader. Speaking of great leaders and great friends, one of your very best friends and my lifelong heroes is Stormy Dean Joyner, our fire chief. Chief, thank you for. I didn't know you ever watched the show. This Wesley, that's a high honor there. He's a busy man. He has many times told me he's too busy to be on the show, and he's right. But Stormy Dean, it's funny. I'll bring you two together. I know y'all are good buddies and can speak to that. But in high school, my first experience arriving to school in high school was your big sister, Teresa, used to drive me to and from school in the morning. Well, eventually, I don't remember why. I don't want to put her on blast, but she lost her driving privileges. Your mom and dad took her license or something. So I started getting rides home from Stormy Dean. And let me tell you, that was a take your life and put it in God's hands. That was, our chief was a heck of a driver. But anyway, good to hear from you, Chief. What a great guy, a great leader for this city. I know that, it's going to be cool watching these guys I went to school with, from the big brother character in Stormy to the little brother characters in you and Bree, kind of all be running. I think it's a great thing. But he's done a great job for our city, and we're lucky to have him.
Very much so.
So, Wesley, almost there. I promise you, I'm going to get you out of here on time. We don't have time to dig into, your real estate career. I would love to get into all that, and we'll invite you back, hopefully, because I meant what I said earlier. You were truly great in all the transactions you've done for me. And if you would do that good a job for somebody like me, that's not buying big multi-million-dollar properties, but starter homes and inexpensive office space like the one I have on Hickory Street, then I know you do that for anyone. And I remember well, the day of our home inspection was one of the nastiest days of all time. The home inspection at the office. And I'd ridden up there with the intention of meeting you there. And it was so nasty, I didn't even want to get out of my car. I was like, man, Wesley's out there himself. I don't even think he has to be there for this, but you were. But if it's okay with you, I'll skip all that so you can get to your graduation. Before we go, I want to ask you what I would call an advice-oriented question. If somebody young's watching and just wants to be like you when they grow up, whether it's they want to be a successful basketball coach, a successful business owner, a realtor, or mayor of Ponchatoula or whatever, but they just see your life from the pretty wife, the happy kids, everything. What advice would you give to a young man, about or woman about how to set off into this life and do well?
I talk about that with Byron. It's trust the process, grind. It does not happen overnight. It's going to get harder before it gets easier. Just stay committed. It's just when you think you can't take any more, you're going to see a little light, and just keep digging, keep grinding. You will be surprised of how far you can push yourself if you just stay committed and stay committed to the cause and the process. Nowadays where younger kids are in immediate gratification and things like that. There's very rarely is there that one big huge lick or that one big huge break. It's usually a bunch of steps that lead to that position that you're looking for. Just trust the process and grind. And if you believe in it and you stay committed to it, you'll get there. You hold the key. So know that you're going to get there by yourself with the help from others, but you have to stay committed to it. And if somebody that can help you sees you grinding and sees you trying, somebody's going to be there to lend a helping hand. We've all had them, Parker. You know who several of mine are. I'm sure the same.
We share some, right? Some of the same people have helped us both up. Nobody does it alone, but that's great advice. Wesley, I thank you for your time. I know you're busier than anyone I know. So I promise I'll get you out of here by 5:40. It's 5:39. Before we close down, is there anything else on your heart, on your mind, anything you want to share with our viewers and listeners before we say goodbye?
And Parker, I'd like to thank you for having me on here. Like I said, I try to watch as much as I can. I'd like to tell everybody in Ponchatoula, look, I made a promise during the campaign. We're not talking politics. If you have something that you want to talk about or reach out to me for, feel free. I'm excited to serve y'all. I'm excited to be a part of this community and continue to be here and raise my family and just be a regular guy from Ponchatoula.
Well, we're lucky to have you, and I'm very fortunate that you took your time to share with me and all of our viewers and listeners, and I thank you for it. I see we have one more comment to share before we go. Our good buddy Britt Leon says, congratulations, Britt. Thanks for tuning in, man. It's so good to see your face up here and your comment. To everyone who stuck with us to the end, I say thank you. And to the mayor, get to that graduation. I hope you enjoy it, and have a great time with your family. Y'all take care.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you.